guilty.
In the past 2 years, several law enforcement officers have been thrust into the national spotlight for their on-duty actions.
All right, what's your name?
George.
George?
George Perry Floyd.
A few of those, like Kim Potter and Derek Chauvin, have been convicted of violent felonies.
From my perspective, putting an individual like that in general population, that's an invitation for disaster.
Well, guess what, ass warden? They did the crime, let them do the time. They shouldn't have any special privileges of anything. They don't deserve solitary confinement.
Cameron Lindsay is a former warden. He served as warden for 12 years at 5 facilities.
Derek Chauvin, you could argue, is America's most hated person.
Lindsay says for these officers who are convicted, being a former cop plus the high-profile nature of many of their cases puts them at risk behind bars.
So what? Their cases put them at risk. Like they did the crime. Let them do the time. Am I right or am I wrong? Why should they get special privileges? I want to know. Just because they were a cop. That is the career they chose. You know what I'm saying? I don't get special privileges because I chose to be a roofer or a framer. So why should they?
In a high security environment, there are inmates that will be waiting at the door, so to speak, that will want to investigate and will assuredly find out the background to some degree on every inmate that comes in that door.
You best believe we research every single inmate that comes through that door. We find out their charges and everything. It is a must, so we know who we live around. What's wrong with that?
As a general rule, law enforcement officers, former law enforcement officers, will have a very difficult time adjusting.
Jason Van Dyke, the former Chicago police officer who murdered Laquan McDonald in 2014 and has now been released, was reportedly attacked while in a Connecticut prison.
They put my husband in a setting to be harmed.
Lady, your husband brutally killed somebody on the street. What exactly did they put your husband in? Danger. Man, get the hell out of here, lady. He deserves to get his ass whipped for what he did. Look at what he did.
Afterward, Van Dyke was moved to solitary confinement and restricted to his cell for 23 hours of every day. He was shuttled between a number of facilities and, according to the Chicago Tribune, was part of a program that keeps high-profile inmates like former police officers off prison databases accessible to the public. Lindsay says while he recognizes the need for solitary confinement in some situations, he doesn't support its use.
I do not believe in long-term solitary confinement. It makes those who are mentally ill, it exacerbates their mental illness, solitary confinement that is. And those who are not mentally ill, long-term solitary confinement will make them mentally ill, is my experience.
After being convicted of murder in state court, Derek Chauvin reached a plea deal with federal prosecutors to serve his sentence in a federal prison rather than a state-run facility. Similarly, Gregory and Travis McMichael, convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery, requested a similar deal from federal prosecutors. A guilty plea in exchange for serving out their sentence in federal prison.
It's disrespectful. I mean, I like Lee's shit earlier. I fought so hard to get these guys in state prison.
That deal was ultimately rejected by a judge when Arbery's family called the sentence to federal prison too lenient. Lindsay says there's nothing soft about federal prison.
Those are all secure facilities. None of them are representative of something soft or club fed or whatever. I think this whole perception of club fed comes from years ago and looking at minimum security level prisons with no security features, no fences, no walls, one correctional officer for 150 inmates or whatever. But day-to-day life for inmates in federal, I believe, would be quite similar.
Now, it's important to mention it is rare for police officers to be criminally charged for violent actions while on duty. According to Bowling Green State University, law enforcement officers, on average, fatally shoot between 900 and 1,100 people per year. But since 2005, just 165 officers have been arrested on charges of murder or manslaughter in on-duty killings. Less than a third of those charged have been convicted.
Look, y'all. Excuse this mess, but this video right here I saw, it really pissed me off. So, sorry for the mess. I just woke up. Does anyone else agree with me on this? Please leave your comments in the comment section. I want to know. Please support the channel by subscribing. Thank you.